Bonjour tout le monde, j'espère que vous allez bien. Je m'appelle Madame Wilhelmina Daka, je suis la fondatrice d'Achievers Success Hub. Je suis entrepreneur, je suis professeur, auteur et plein de choses. Hello everybody, my name is Madame Wilhelmina Daka. I'm the founder of Achievers Success Hub. I'm an entrepreneur, a French tutor, an author, and many things. All right, so let's talk. Let's talk. Today, I want us to talk about French. Yes, I'm passionate about French. I'm passionate about children. So today I'm going to talk about these two passions. And then I'm passionate about teaching as well. So three passions together. All right. So usually I don't like talking much about myself, but when it comes to French, I realize that one major thing here in Ghana is that people want to know what is your background, who are you to tell us this, so because of that, just because of that, let me say this. So I taught my first group of French students in 2005. That is after SHS. I taught my first group of students. I didn't even go searching for a job. I was just in the house. There's a school close by. They had heard about me, so they came hunting for me. I went and then I taught there. And then even before that, when I was in SHS, I used to teach my classmates who had challenges with French. And I realized there's this ease. I have this ease with teaching people French. So I had to help some of my classmates, and thankfully, it's been up till now. Some of them tell me that it's thanks to me that they did better, or that they had an interest in the French language. So after this one, I went to the university to study French. I did a year abroad in France. It was during the year abroad in France that I noticed the major challenges that we have in the learning of French. Right. So I think one of the main things that the teacher said, which struck me, is that the students who come from Ghana are very good. Like when it comes to grammar and everything, they are very good. But when it's time to speak, that is where the challenge is. And it was the case because I was top student at the time I went to France. But even when they spoke the French language, I could not understand it. I could speak French in Ghana, but when I got to France, I could not, like, the kind of French that they were speaking. It was just impossible for me to understand or even flow with it. Right. So I made it a decision that I'm not just going to learn here. I'm also going to look at how they are going to get us, like people from different countries in one classroom coming to learn one language. I wanted to see how they were going to do that. Okay, so we were not children. Well, we were university students who had gone there to learn. So the methods that they used were at that level. But personally, because I love children a lot, over time, I developed ways that I could use these concepts to also help children. So I did my year abroad in France. I acquired 3 French language certificates. Then I came back to Ghana to complete my degree. And there I served as a teaching assistant at the Modern Languages Department of KNUST. So there also I had a chance to teach university students. However, my desire was not to remain in the teaching field. When you have French, there is a whole world of opportunities that you can access. I wanted to be in that. I wanted to be in a field where I can speak the French. So I did go into a multinational company where I worked as a bilingual PA. As I was there, I realized that I was enjoying my work, I was enjoying everything in there, but that was not what my life was meant for. So I had to run out of that and come into tuition. So for the past 10 years, I've been teaching at the lower level. I've been teaching children how to speak French. All right, so if I'm sharing this with you, I'm saying it with a wealth of experience. And not just that, since the time I stepped foot in France, I have really soaked myself into research and studying, trying to find out some of the challenges that we have as French learners in Ghana, or some of the challenges that people have learning French in Ghana, trying to understand people's issues. And also with my students, I've made time to observe observe, study the trends, study the challenges, and understand and provide solutions to all these things. And it's through these solutions that I came up with my business, Achievers Success Hub, and then also these books. I don't want to talk about them today. Maybe later I'll talk about them. I've written 15 French books, and I'm full Ghanaian. I'm fully a Ghanaian who learns the French language. All right. So the main reason why I'm doing this video is that I realized that here in Ghana, people have an idea of what they think French should be or how French should be taught because they have an idea of how English is taught. Let's not forget that in Ghana, French is not our first language. It is not our L1. French could be an L2, it could be an L3 for other people. That means a second language or a third language for other people, right? So we cannot do it like the way we do English. English is what people use to learn every other subject. So the focus, or in teaching English, you have to go deep, 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 deep. You have to spend years on this topic, years on phonetics, years on this, years on that. So children start at a very early age to learn the English. By the time they get to a point where they are learning phonetics and phonics and all of that, they would have acquired some vocabulary and some expressions as well. But with French, it is just an additional thing. So it's just like any other skill that we are adding to the things that we already have to know here in Ghana. So it's important that we take it step by step and we don't rush the children too much. That is what I see, and that is also one of the reasons why I'm doing this video. So just like all the videos that I've been doing, it's just piece. It's a long video because I don't have much time. So it's a long video, but I'll put it in pieces with all the information. I mean, as little information as you can get to help you. All right. So the first thing that I would say, as I've already said, French is not our language, right? And so when you want children to learn French, you must first target interest. So number one, target interest. Get them to be interested in it. How do we get them to be interested in it? Let's ask ourselves, how do we get them to be interested in English? That way, yes, we can do that comparison. Playful learning, videos, hands-on activities, things that will stir them up to learn, things that will let them desire to come back to learn it. Every Saturday, right here in Jakarta, I have children rushing to come and learn French. I tell you, it's amazing. And online also, I have children rushing to join online every blessed day. I'm teaching online. People are connecting from US, UK, different parts of the world. People are connecting from Sunyane, Tamale, Kumasi, different places right here in Ghana. Why are they connecting? Because they find something that is unique, something that is fun. So when we are teaching French, we should not be in a hurry to download so many things. No, we should first target fun, because French is difficult. No, if anybody tells you French is not difficult, it's a lie. I mean, I try to tell my students it's not difficult, it's complicated, but that's just to encourage them. Because really, even the French people agree that French grammar gives headaches. Even the French people themselves will agree to that. So if anybody tells you French is not difficult, that's a lie. Let's first accept that, Charlie, the thing is difficult. Then we will deal with it little by little. I just love doctors who, before they do any procedure, they will explain to you what you're expected to feel. And that is what I do. We must let people know that this language that you're going to learn is difficult. But there is nothing that we cannot surmount if we put our hearts to. So just like every other thing that is difficult but we're able to overcome, it's the same with French. It's difficult but we'll be able to learn it. How will we be able to learn it? If only we use the right methods. And that is where sometimes the challenges are. 2, you need to start from the known to the unknown. When we say you're starting from the known to the unknown, it means that we are starting to teach them based on things that they already know, things that they are already familiar with, things that they already love. Children love colors, they love fruits, these are things that they basically learn when they start learning English. So I usually tell people that before you bring your child to my French class, make sure that their English is solid. Otherwise, we are just worrying their child. If their English is not good, I'm sorry, we are not starting the French. So it's important that we start from the known to the unknown. Right. The third thing will be a question that I'm going to have to answer. People ask me that, why don't we teach French phonetics? I want my French teacher to teach my students phonetics, but they don't want to do that. The challenge, as I said, French is difficult. The French phonetics is also another challenging aspect. Because in English, let's say we say AI is what? A? Yeah. So we have the sail, we have the mail, and all of that. In French, there will be a sound, but one letter joins that sound and the sound changes. So we have, let's say we have the letter I. The letter I is E. I've told the child that, okay, the letter I sounds E. Now, when I add N, the E now becomes N. If I add M, it becomes N. It's a problem. Okay, assuming I tell the child, okay, EN sounds which even adults are already struggling with. EN sounds but if an I comes before the EN, it becomes EN. It's complicated. Okay, so it's better to first focus on letting them know the basic things. Let them, the things that they can easily say, the things that always surround them. I've already mentioned that in the second part, letting them go from the known to the unknown. So then in the third point, we are looking at, let's avoid phonetics for now. Okay, let's build on point 2. Let them be able to say their daily activities. Let them be able to mention their favorite words, their colors, and all of this. After they have learned this over a period of time, now they have gathered a lot of vocabulary which already have these sounds in it. Then, whenever you have to teach them, you can revisit things that they have learned. Probably after a year or two, by now the child knows how to say enfant, the child knows how to say pendant, the child knows how to say le temps, the child knows how to say arrive, and all of that, right? Now, when you're going to teach them the phonetics, you are going to make reference to words that they have already spoken. Then you're like, oh, okay. I remember we say enfant and not infant. All right, so when madam says that en gives a sound, I can easily refer to enfant as a reminder. I can easily refer to pendant as a reminder. If madam says that IL, we don't pronounce the L, it's E, I can easily refer to fille, girl. I can easily refer to travail, work. That is how it goes. Okay, so let's not rush the children with phonetics. All right. 4, let's not bombard them with conjugations and comprehension. Many a times I see books that are meant for, let's see, grade 1 or class 1 children, and then their comprehension in it. I'm not one to talk about what other people do, okay, but this is the problem that I have with it. If the child does not know simple expressions like je mange, I am eating, il mange, elle mange, tu manges, and all of that, simple sentences they cannot understand, how are they going to understand the comprehension? That means that you want them to go and ask the parents. And this is a situation where most of the parents don't even understand it. So who helps them? The parents has to go and call somebody, get the answers and bring it. But that is not the goal of our teaching. The goal of our teaching is for them to be able to understand and speak. For me, the goal is for them to understand and also speak it out right from the start. When they start learning it, I want them to be able to understand the words that they say, the expressions that they say, so that if they now begin to see it in lines, short sentences, they know that this is what is being said, or even they can form the sentences. Before we get to comprehension, I would introduce a child to comprehension only after like 2 years of having taught them, and where I've been assured that now they can understand things, they can form sentences on their own, before I would introduce comprehension to them. Conjugation is also another complicated thing. If it's from the start, depending on the age, yes, you can introduce them to conjugation. But if they're little children, conjugation is not needed, because conjugation is all about forming sentences. So rather than bombarding them with conjugation, why not let them learn how to say simple sentences? When the child says, je mange, we do that. For us, we learn that and then we do the action. Je mange, I am eating or I eat. Je parle, I am speaking or I speak. J'écoute. J'écoute. I am listening or I listen. These are all conjugations. After they've learned all these ones with the je, now I can take them to tu. Tu manges, you are eating. Il mange, he is eating. So we first focus on getting them to do the je, speak with je, understand regular sentences, be very comfortable with it, be very at ease and easily understand it before we introduce the other subjects and not even the conjugation. As I mentioned, the conjugation comes way later. 5, we need to teach them the right pronunciations and the right things from the start. When I say right pronunciations, I'm not saying phonetics, no. I'll use the days of the week as an example. Monday is lundi, but I hear children say lundi. So if it is lundi and the child says lundi, you have to correct the child right from the start. Don't say that, oh, let's not worry them. It's not the alarm. No, we are teaching them the right thing from the start. Okay, so lundi, UN sounds what? And. We are not teaching phonetics, but we've made sure that they are getting the sound right. So that when it's time to visit phonetics, we can use lundi, the UN in lundi as an example. Mardi, that we don't have a problem. Mercredi, we don't have a problem. Jeudi, let's say jeudi. No, jeudi, jeudi. You have to make sure they do it right. If they say jeudi, you have to make sure they're going at jeudi. That way, we're getting the sound je, we're getting the sound e, we're getting the sound I in there. When it's time for phonetics, we can easily visit it. We have vendredi. They will say vendredi. I say vendredi. Say vendredi. If you lead them to say vendredi, when we get to phonetics, how are you now going to convince them that en is on? We have to get that corrected. Samedi. That one we don't have a problem. Dimanche, they say dimanche. I said, no, dimanche, they say dimanche. We have to insist that they say the right thing. They will not get it right the first time. You just have to keep going over and over and over. That is it with things that have to do with children. You have to keep going over and over and over until they get it right. And that is what I do. I don't rush children through lessons. We can have like 3 months going through the same lessons. We change it maybe every 2 weeks, different thing. But we will come back and revisit it for 3 months until they can easily let that flow, or they can easily say those things without even referring to a book. They understand what it is. That way, I know that we've settled those topics, and then we can move on to new topics. I noticed that we rush the children. Even the parents cause the rush. I mean, my child cannot say this. My child cannot. They've come for the class for this number of days. They can't say. No, it's a different language. We are not rushing them. I will not rush them. So, no. And sometimes I think the challenge is that we as French teachers, we are supposed to stand our grounds. But it's hard to do that because once you stand your grounds, you'll be seen as an arrogant person. But it is my field. It's my field of expertise. I'm teaching them the right thing. You want to teach me what to teach. Like, that is a problem in Ghana with the French teachers. So sometimes they get fed up. Okay, we know what we're doing. You cannot go to a banking hall to tell the banker what to do or how to do their work. But for teachers, we always want to teach them what to do. If you have brought your child to a teacher to teach them, that means that you trust that they will pass the right thing to them. So just leave the teacher to do their work. If you have an idea, you can just go on and suggest it, but not to insist on what you are suggesting. We have to look at that. All right. Then number 6 is the articles. The articles are the most important things in French. It is, when I went to France, the first time I heard somebody say, like, you go girls, said, allez les filles. I said, come on guys, this is not bad. Allez les filles. In English we say go girls. And I was like, but L-E-S, we know it means the. So if you say God means go, the girls. But that's what the French people say. What can we say about it? Je veux du sandwich. I want sandwich. In English, there is nothing there before the sandwich. But in French, you have to put it there. Otherwise, you're making a mistake. It's a problem. And that is why, personally, I think that one of the things that we have to start working on right from the start is the articles. And if we're going to get the articles right, we need to know how to identify the masculine and the feminine nouns. I noticed that sometimes you see in books, le is for masculine singular nouns, la is for feminine singular nouns, L apostrophe, but there's never a place where they have stated, how do I identify the masculine nouns? How do I identify the feminine nouns? I say, okay, so how are these people supposed, how are these students supposed to do that? You know, if you ask the French people, they will tell you that, oh, there are no rules for, identifying masculine and feminine nouns. They don't have a problem. Right from childhood, they are saying it. It's just like when we have to learn our local languages. In Fancy, for instance, I'll say, oh, mezi fufu, mezi fufu. Okay, I've heard it from infancy, though, so there is no way that I will come and say mozi fufu or like I don't know, I don't know if you get the point I'm making. Something that the child has said over and over and over again, or heard it over and over again, there's no way they'll make a mistake with it. So the French people, is something that they hear right from the belly. So they don't have a problem with that. So if they tell us that there is no way to know the masculine and feminine, that's cool. But those of us who went there to learn, we have found our way out. So if you're a French teacher, you have to teach your students all of that. You have to teach them all those tricks, how to find their way out of it. It's like it's a bother. It's a bother to me because I tell people that 85%, if not 90% of the things that we teach in French requires the use of the masculine and feminine. So if you are not teaching the masculine and feminine, you are causing a problem. All right, let me list it down. I don't like being technical, but let me be technical here just a little bit. We have the definite articles. You would need to know the masculine and the feminine to do that. We have the indefinite articles, the partitive articles, the demonstrative adjectives, the possessive adjectives, a whole lot, even just the adjectives, just using the adjectives, you need the masculine and the feminine. So how is anybody who learns French going to be able to understand or do these if they cannot identify which words are masculine and which words are feminine? So for me, right from the start, when I'm teaching a child, I will not just say cahier, I will teach you le cahier. Sometimes they will change it and say la cahier. I'll come back and correct you, even if you're a child, and tell you to say le cahier. Because if you say la cahier, it's going to remain with you forever. By the time you get to a point where you really need your articles, I've already messed it up for you. So it's important, for me, it's important that we teach them the use of the articles. Even if we are not teaching them when to use le, when to use la, make sure that when you are teaching them the words, you are adding the articles to it right from the start. So that when they get to a point where they can understand and you now teach them, it's easier because they already have it in their head. So I believe that is also one of the things that we should pay attention to, even more than the phonetics. The last thing I would say is the medium of tuition. The medium of tuition. When I brought out my books the first time, people who bought their books, they kept asking, why is it that you have not written English in the books? There is no English in the book. And then I explained to them that what I am targeting at is for us to avoid the use of the English. Image pronunciation to memory. That is what I target. Okay, so all the books that I write, I add audios to read out the words to you. You don't need me to write the English under it. There are English books that have those ones. This is a French book. We're learning French. We don't need to make use of the English. What we need is the image pronunciation, and then we commit it to memory, because the mind is always looking for the easier way out. If there is English and there is French in the same book, the mind is going to pick the English, which will make it very difficult to pick the French. When it's only French, they are forced to pick the French, to commit it to memory, and then get the pronunciation. Then that is it. It is faster with time. From the start, it's difficult, but with time, it becomes easy, right? So let's reduce our use of English in the French class. That is also another thing that I usually talk about, finding the balance with that. Because the French people believe that when you are teaching French, French should be the medium of tuition. Perfect. That is perfect. That is exactly true. But when we have to face reality, we realize that the people that we are teaching, they don't understand the French. So if I just have to come and speak French throughout, it will be a problem. So how do we solve that? We solve that by using the images, the pictures, flashcards, books that have the images for us to teach the children, videos that have the words and the things that we want to teach the children. They have to write and commit it to memory. They have to engage in lots of activities, just as we do for English, so that it will stick. They will remember it forever. We don't need to make use of English. They have to use the French, but how it is being used is what will determine how fast or effective it will be. Once in a while, we have to mix it with English if the thing does not really make sense. I mean, when it comes to children, you have to blend it with some English, but most of the time, French should be the language to be used. So what I do is to put in actions as well. If I don't have the images for some of the actions, the children do it. Even when I have the images, I get them to do it because the actions, they enjoy doing it. Just amazing the quick results you would get. You just try it, you would see. All right, so that is all I'm going to share with you. Again, my name is Wilhelmina Dakwa. You can look for me on Facebook or Instagram. Look out for my business page, Achievers Success Hub. Look at how easy and effective the learning of French is. You would see my students, you would hear from them, you would see a lot of videos with my students in there, what they can do with the French at a very early age. You get testimonials as well. French is actually, it can be easy, right? I've been saying it's easy, but because, yeah, you should get me, right? Yeah, so it's actually not that difficult. It's all about how it's taught. If we can all put in our very best, we can do the right thing. Please look for my page, Achievers Success Hub. Also, my YouTube page, Francoman B and Friend. You'll be coming up with wonderful, wonderful, wonderful videos for children. They would absolutely love it.